What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Mello with Marty's Buick GMC and Chevrolet, and in today's video, we'll be talking about a Suburban HD and asking the very important question of the series, would you buy one? Now, if you're new to the channel or maybe you're just coming back for more, I know you guys are coming back for more. I can see it. I can see it in the analytics, but you haven't subscribed yet. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I upload fresh General Motors related news and content every single week, so if that's something that you're into, be sure to tune in. Now let's get into it. All right, so today we're talking Suburban, a vehicle that Chevrolet actually began production of back in 1934 as the Carryall Suburban. GMC actually also received its own version in 1937, referred to as the same thing, the Carryall Suburban. Weird name. I don't know. They weren't that great at names. Not very creative back in the 30s, but what can you do? GM, of course, eventually did shorten the name up to simply Suburban.
Introducing the best Suburban yet.
And the GMC iteration was actually also called Suburban up until the rebrand in the year 2000 when they changed the name to the Yukon XL. Took a little while for them to do that. A lot of people don't know that. Now, the Suburban of today, obviously, it's a full-size SUV with 3 rows of seating, a full-size pickup frame pulled right from the Silverado 1500, and a V8 engine under the hood. Now, the Suburban, it's actually the same height and the same width as the Chevy Tahoe. However, with 20 inches of extra length, the Suburban provides a full-size cargo area behind the 9-passenger seating area. And anyone who owns a Tahoe or a Yukon, you can comment down below. Go ahead. You know that the cargo capacity is very, very limited in the Tahoe and the Yukon if you've got every seat occupied. Obviously, you can fold some seats up. You can make plenty of space. But if you're using all those seats and you need to pack some gear in the back, not going to be a fun time. So it's really no surprise to me that the Suburban and the Yukon XL continue to be fan favorites among the larger families. Now, for a while, one of the Suburban's biggest competitors was, of course, Ford's Excursion. Some of you might remember that thing, maybe you don't, but it was actually launched on September 30th of 1999, and the Excursion was described by Popular Science as the biggest sport utility on the planet, and the year 2000 would actually be its most successful model year with nearly 70,000 Excursions sold. But for those that remember the early 2000s, energy and fuel costs continued to rise. Excursion sales started to decline year over year until eventually Ford pulled the plug. I believe they pulled production of it in like 2005-ish. But what's my point in bringing up the Excursion? Who cares? Well, on April 24th of 2020, Ford actually filed for the rights to the Excursion name with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Now, back in 1996, when Ford originally filed, it was granted the rights to use the name for motor vehicles, specifically automobiles, trucks, and vans. That's what the patent was for. This new application, however, they've added electric vehicles, sport utility vehicles, and off-road vehicles. Now, what's all this mean? Well, this information certainly would make it easy for us to speculate that Ford intends to bring back the Excursion nameplate as perhaps an EV, but we can't really know for sure. They could just be ensuring that nobody else can ever use the name, but I mean, that seems like kind of a stretch. Who's going to use Excursion when it kind of already exists as a Ford? But either way, I'm sure it's something we'll find out more of in the coming months or maybe years. But all this stuff kind of got me thinking, because in order for GM to compete with the new Ford Excursion, I think GM would have to go bigger than the current Suburban, right? So once again, my good friend and super talented artist, can't thank this guy enough, Oscar Vargas, known on Instagram at WBArtist20, he took to the challenge of conceptualizing a current generation Suburban HD. And looking at it here, man, I think he knocked this thing out of the park per usual. You know, starting with the current generation Silverado HD, Oscar stretched out the heavy-duty truck's roofline, removing what was once a truck bed and replacing it with what we can assume to be a 3rd row of seating and vastly more cargo space. Or who knows, maybe you can get a 4th row back there. You can bring the whole baseball team to practice. But the boxy design, if I'm honest, it does give me some serious Excursion vibes, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. The big question here really is, other than, of course, would you buy one, is what would be powering this thing? My first thought, of course, and I'm sure there's some of you who are right there with me, let's 6.6 Duramax this thing. Because honestly, the 6.6 Duramax in the SUVs is something that many people have wanted to see for a long time in the Yukon and the Tahoe. Obviously, we have the 3-liter now, so it kind of fills the void, but HD, let's put the 6.6 in there, make that option a reality. Now, the problem with that obviously is with the rising fuel costs and GM's push for like an all-electric future, it may be more plausible that the Suburban HD comes in rolling on one of GM's new Ultium battery platforms. Of course, all of this is speculation at this point, but over the years, especially with family SUVs, it certainly seems that they've been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's definitely not getting any smaller. People want more space and they want more comfort. So although the Suburban HD might not be something that I would buy, since I don't have any real need for all that space, unless, of course, my dog decides that he needs like a mobile playground to make use of while we're headed to the park or something like that on weekends. But that doesn't mean that this thing wouldn't fill a void currently in today's market. Similar to like the vans, you know, like the vans we showed. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think and answer the question of the series, would you buy one? And what would you want this thing powered by? We all know 6.6 Duramax is the answer. As always, I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you made it this far in the video, if you could do me a favor by just smashing that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to hit 50,000 this week. Who knows? I'm getting close. It's all thanks to you guys. Check out my friends over at gmpartsdepartment.com for all your GM OEM parts needs, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks again for the support, everyone. I really appreciate it, and take care.